Awesome. Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see all of you. I am Sherry Reichert-Ballou, author of Say It Now, 33 Creative Ways to Say I Love You to the Most Important People in Your Life. And so excited today to have Tim. Give us a wave, Tim.
Hi.
And also Nita. Where are you, Nita? There you are.
Right here. Hi.
And just like every week, it's going to be an amazing week of conversation. And it's so good to see all of you. Thank you for being here. We have so many authors who are here. And so let's just jump right in. Nita, how about if you start us off and tell us, I know you've got a couple of books to hold up and tell us about. And as always, also, what are you doing lately to take care of yourself during these challenging times?
Well, thanks, Sherry. It's always a delight to be part of these panels. So my first book, Mango book, is Depression Hates a Moving Target, How Running with My Dog Brought Me Back from the Brink. It's a running and mental health memoir. But the book I really want to focus on today is the second book. It's called You Should Be Writing. It's more of a writing journal with blank pages for you to fill in with. But what makes it special is it's filled with author quotes, and they're organized by topic. So you kind of work through the topics, and each chapter is introduced with a little tiny essay. So so it's kind of a guided journal, but it's not as much of a directed journal. It's more of a place for you to have the inspiration, maybe a little instruction from some master writers. And to put your own words in it. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased. That just came out in June. So it's a lovely, and it is co-authored. She just appeared. Yeah, I was hoping we would see her. The lovely and talented Brenda Knight is the co-author of You Should Be Writing. So
Brenda.
Just so honored.
Hi, Brenda.
Here. Thanks.
Hi.
Excuse me. As far as the self-care, I do a lot of running because that's kind of my go-to thing, but I've always been a writer too. And right now, not only is the page holding new projects, new things that someday I'd like to get out in the world, it's holding my feelings, my thoughts, my observations. This is really a time to put the pen to page. And then the third thing I'm doing, which I also always do, but I'm really kind of doubled down on, is meditation. I'm in a meditation training program right now, and really, really enjoying that. Just feeling like it's the time to just kind of pull out all the stops. And I'm fortunate to be in a place where I can do that right now. So I'm not homeschooling children, or, I just can't even, the parents out there, I just, my hat's off to all of you, because I just admire the spirit. So yeah, that's
I love it, Nita. I love, first of all, running. And again, I encourage anybody who hasn't yet to read your first book as well as the second one, which, the second one sounds like also like what you're talking about that time to use writing as reflection, writing as, projects, of course, that you want to get in the world. But I also love what you're saying about using it as a tool to connect to ourselves and, in that way of reflecting. And I know your book, You Should Be Writing, right? Is that I love that.
Feels a little, I'm not a person who likes to tell people what to do, but I just kind of love that phrase, because really, you really should be writing, really, especially now.
You should be.
This, we should all be writing, whether you're a writer or not. So.
Right. And also, of course, the meditation, like some beautiful reminders to us. So thank you, Nita. I'm so glad you're here. Tim, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and to see everybody on screen. It's very nice to be here. If you're wondering what is going on with my face, I've recently opened up a car door on my wife's vehicle and slammed it into my face the other day. So it's the perfect time to be on camera for something, right? Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again. My book is called How to Ikigai. I don't know, is it backwards? Yeah, it's probably backwards.
No, it's perfect.
Okay, so How to Ikigai. Ikigai is a concept that comes from Okinawa, Japan, where my grandparents came from. It's two words, actually. Iki means life, and gai means worth. So it's your life's worth, how to live your life's worth. Essentially, it boils down to a 4-step program. So that's only a third as much as you'd have to do if you were in AA. So this is promising already. Ikigai means you do what you love, you do what you're good at, you do what the world needs, and you do what you can be rewarded for. The biggest challenge for most people is to switch focus from career and being robots in life to focusing on what is meaningful to you as individuals. And this book addresses that in a way so that it kind of helps you wrap your head around the steps that you can take in order to be able to do more you on a regular basis every day. And the types of things that I've been doing to take care of myself includes definitely meditation. I've been a practicing meditator for about 4 years now, and it's been profoundly rewarding, and it's really interesting at how good my brain and body feels after I do take a chance to meditate, even if it's just for a couple of minutes at a time. But I really enjoy that. The other thing that I'm doing to really kind of check in on my own well-being is to check in on my friends' well-being. So I'm reaching out to them on a regular basis and saying, how are things going for you during all the COVID and especially the Black Lives Matters challenges that are happening? And we've had many meaningful conversations and shared lots of good back and forth to help heal each other. So that's been really worthwhile practice for me.
Oh, Tim, I love that you use the word meaningful and the word meaning both, right? Like that seems like those are at the heart of a lot of what you're talking about. And it's so true, right? Like that's how I think a lot of us are coping with all of this, is finding meaning, bringing meaning. You're connecting to friends is so beautiful. I love that you said that, like that takes care of you as well. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and we need to cheer each other up. Goodness knows that, our friends are steadfast and we know that they're out there, but they're going through lots of challenges as well. I wanted to make a point to Nita's point about, be writing. Everybody can write, everybody should be writing. And that's a point that I make with a lot of the executives that I speak with in my speaking practice. I talk to CEOs and presidents of big organizations, and that's the one thing that I really encourage each and every one of them to do, is to write a book based on what their experiences are, because there's such a well of incredible knowledge that the world can benefit from, and therein lies part of the whole Ikigai thing. Tell us about what your experience is. Tell us what you've been successful at so that we can emulate your success and be rewarded for it as well.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And what a great thing. It's like, I think probably all of us, if not, I think most of us at least here are writers, and your reminder of like how important that is to share, right? And that we all grow through writing it. Thank you. Thanks so much.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So, hey, Nita.
I wanted to thank Tim too for mentioning that. I coach creatives. Most of them are writers, but even the writers sometimes have trouble. Maybe actually they might have more trouble than the non-writers sometimes writing. But right now there's sort of this sense of urgency around everything, and people forget how much wisdom they have within them that they can share. And sometimes through the process of writing, especially if you do, something like writing practice, morning pages, something where you're not thinking about the book at the end or any kind of product oriented, or even anyone else, you just sit down with that page and you can get to the things that you forget, and then ultimately you can take that out in the world and help other people. But I really liked how Tim talked about, especially things like Black Lives Matter and the, of course, the pandemic, but, we've had all these political things going on, and it's so easy to become just overwhelmed with it. And so my advice to the people that I have been working with is to just try to take one tiny little thing and focus on that. And then from that, everything flows. So I just wanted to add that. So thanks, Tim, for talking about the, bringing it out to other people too. And also checking on people. I was just in this training I'm in right now. meet on Zoom, because everybody's meeting on Zoom. And we were just discussing in the recovery circles, they talk about how you have to give it away to keep it. And we were talking about the Buddhist tradition of sharing merit. You develop merit by sitting practice, and then you give it away because you can't keep it. You actually cannot keep it. And the act of keeping it, it's like it turns to ashes. And I just love that. So thanks, Tim, for that reminder. It's like everything's sort of fitting together for me right now. It feels really
That's good. That's awesome. Thank you.
Nita, it is awesome. And let's go back to you. Let's talk some more about your book. I know that there was something that you might feel compelled to read to us if you want. This could be a good time if you feel like it.
Yes. As I said, the chapters are organized, or the quotations, they're primarily author quotes, are organized in chapters by topic. And one of those topics is writing as medicine. And I just thought I would just read they're like these little micro essays that start the chapter. And this will give you a little flavor of what's throughout the book. So this is writing as medicine. Poultice, salve, healer, binding agent, bandage, translator, muse. The quotes in this section reflect the powerful impact of writing on the author. We've each heard the suggestion, put your own oxygen mask on first. Sometimes writing helps you breathe, keeps you alive. Especially in first drafts, we often write solely for ourselves. There is no audience beyond the small and possibly wounded child who sings or screams from the depths of our being. This writing may never leave our notebooks, or in revision, it may transform into powerful prose to which an audience can relate. No matter the end result, writing heals. And that opens a chapter of quotes and blank pages for you to fill that are all about how writing affects the writer. And then the next chapter is about how we take that and go out into the world with it. So a little bit of everything in the book.
Can you share one or two of those prompts with us that would follow that?
Sure, happy to. Okay, let's see. I didn't think to pick one, but I'll just, oh yeah, this is good. So this is from Christina Estradi. Writing is not just a process of creation. It is also a process of self-discovery. So it's very simple. And then, the idea is you just jump off from that and go, wherever your mind takes you. Yeah, there's about, I think there's either 15 or 17, I can't remember the math that we ended up doing to get it. And then the other thing about the book, which is sometimes lost on people, is that the left-hand pages are inspirational. And then the right-hand pages are more instructive. So they're all quotes, but there is a tone to each one. So the book is a balance of both of those things.
Oh, I love that.
And again, we have to thank Brenda for a lot of the structure, because it was really her brainchild. So thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda. Brenda, do you want to add anything since you are here? Did you want to say anything about the book?
Well, before the pandemic, I would go to a lot of writers' conferences. I even met Nita at a writers' conference. And so I would go to workshops and hear writers and hear people that were aspiring to be writers. And they get so much there's a lot of bad advice and bad information out there. And I just wanted to give people just real simple help, just very practical help. And then having met and gotten to know Anita and had the joy of editing her and seeing what a conscientious, hardworking, but inspiring writer she is, I knew she would be the right person to work with. So it was about just letting writers know that it doesn't have to be War and Peace. Every sentence doesn't have to be a work of staggering genius. Sometimes just writing is the process, and you'll get there. You'll get where you want to go. But just get started. Just start writing.
I love that. And even just these few moments of focusing on the book, it's bringing me back to that mindfulness piece, to really where I feel is always such a beginning for everything in life. But it's that mindfulness and the reflection and offering people space just feels so important. Tim, we'd love to hear a little more about your book and what's top of your mind around that topic today.
Well, first off, I just wanted to point out that I really like Brenda's neighborhood. I can see your neighbors behind you there, and it looks really cozy and comfy, and I'll bet you they're fierce warriors of some sort. So I do love that. Ikigai, how do Ikigai really? This is a topic that is very challenging for people to wrap their heads around, but it's very, very inspiring for everybody that I've kind of come in contact with once they've kind of heard the four directions of the map of Ikigai: the do what you love, do what you're good at, do what the world needs, and do what you can be rewarded for. And interestingly enough, there is a lot of science behind these types of practices on a regular basis, because the practice, especially of the science of positive psychology, is still very much in its infancy and just in very, very early stages. It's only been around since maybe the 1940s, but positive psychology focuses on what we can do as just everyday regular people to increase our own well-being, things that we can do every single day. And a lot of that has to do with just on focusing on who is truly ourselves. It doesn't have anything to do with how much money you make or how big your car is or how fancy your yacht is. Everybody has a yacht here, right? Right? Everybody? Yeah? Put up your hand if you have a yacht. Yeah. Nobody has a yacht. But having a yacht doesn't necessarily, according to science anyways, increase well-being. What does increase well-being is acts of kindness, acts of meditation, doing meditation on a regular basis, and something called time affluence. Now, time affluence means that you're rich with your time, and you do with your time what you want to do with your time as often as possible. In other words, you get a chance to go out and do all the things that you've ever always wanted to do just because it's meaningful for you. And if that's not Ikigai, I don't know what is. The beautiful thing about doing absolutely everything that you want to do with your life is that, number one, you prioritize it, and you also see that it benefits other people when you go out and you're authentic to yourself. So I'm very, very excited about the whole practice of Ikigai, and even though it is a word and a concept that is very, very much in the very infancy stage of being spread around the world, this concept has been around for 2,000 years. I'm hopeful that the idea and the practice of Ikigai is something that people can benefit from around the world. We just have to start spreading the word.
Hey, can you tell us a little bit about how Ikigai looks in your own life?
Yes. So in my particular circumstance, I went on about a three-year-long journey to be able to just focus on doing nothing but the things that I've always wanted to do. And that could be anything from learning ukulele to just wanting to learn how to sing better. I'm a musician by trade. That's what I do. Be a better storyteller, be a better writer. And I actually quit my job as a national radio host so I could just focus for a whole year on going out and just doing absolutely everything that fascinated me. So that included going to Oregon so I could see the eclipse, full eclipse, myself. So we just drove down and we checked it out, and that was mind-boggling. I got an opportunity to travel to Japan with my family, and we went to Okinawa while we were there. That was just something that we just wanted to do just for our hearts, and to find that connection back to Okinawa, where my grandparents were born about 130 years ago. And but one of the other most profound experiences that I had was that I got a chance and was invited to take a journey across the Northwest Passage of North America on an icebreaker. And so I joined a fascinating expedition called the C3, Canada C3 expedition. And we traveled up to the very, very north of Canada to a place called Kugluktuk. And we met Inuit, and we jumped onto a icebreaker and traveled for 8 days right across open seas to a place called Tuktoyaktuk. And it was the most profound experience that I've ever had in my entire life, but it really helped me understand the reason why it was so profound to me, is that part of the reason why I was invited is because they wanted me to share my storytelling abilities and to share my singing abilities and to share my connectedness with people. And that's what everybody did. So everybody had their own ikigai. There were scientists, there was singers, there was artists, there was guides, there were expedition leaders, there were people who were grizzly or who were polar bear guards. This is what they do. But this is a group of people sharing all their expertise and sharing what makes them joyful. And that really opened my eyes up to the fact that these people have a really, really good vision of what it is that they're excited about. And I hope that that experience can translate to others around the world as well.
Wow, that was great. I feel as if I could actually like feel the vitality of that experience when you're talking about it. Like it just, you're just like radiant with it, you know?
Yeah. And I could fill an 8-hour-long connection like this of just stories of things that happened in the North. But it was the collective of the year that helped me understand that my own ikigai is an action, and it is to delight. That's what I like to do every single day. I know I'm good at it, and I love to do it. I do it because it is something that rewards me, but I also do it because it helps others. So ikigai really is a boomerang that you throw out into the world, and it circles back and creates all these benefits and comes back to me, and I go, oh, that was fun. Let's do it again. So just keep on doing the ikigai stuff.
Wow, that is just amazing. It seems like a good chance to just open it up to see if anyone, both, you know, if you want to ask Nita or Tim or both a question or share something. Marlena, what's up?
First of all, I want to apologize that I created some distraction there. Yeah, stuff going on. Tim, I love how inspiring your message is as a strategy consultant and professor for decades. I used Ikigai with companies to establish their competitive advantage in the marketplace. The thing that was the hardest was the passion piece, what I'm passionate about. It's odd that, and maybe for writers, I think all of us are probably writers on this panel today, we understand passion and it comes fairly easily to us, but I think that's would you agree that that's often the one that's the hardest to get?
Yeah, in fact, and thank you for your question, Marlena. The two questions that I ask the executives that I speak to on a regular basis right off the bat is, what do you love and what are you good at? And I've yet to get a real solid answer from anybody, because people don't think in those terms. They tend to think more in terms of general terms. What is my business? What do we do? So to speak, as opposed to what is it that I'm passionate about and why did I start this business and how is my passion and my ikigai able to help others. So I completely agree 1,000%.
Yeah, and the way you are presenting it is very inspiring in terms of finding that passion. So I love that.
Good, I'll keep up. Good thing my ikigai is to delight.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
Thank you.
I'm going to hop in quick because I love the idea of the boomerang. That's actually been a bit of my experience with my first book. That's been a delight. I'll use your word, because, and I think that's the thing with books in general is, you know, we kind of come from our own place and we hope that they go out in the world. But what's been happening for me is that all of a sudden I'm connecting with these communities that I didn't even know existed because people have found the book. And so I just love that idea that that our passion, whatever that is, whether it's writing or, you know, for you it's to delight, can go out in the world and then just keep circling around. I just wanted to say that I really connected with that boomerang idea. So thank you for sharing that. And I haven't done Ikigai specifically, but a lot of the writing work I've done has been to try to connect actually the coaching work more has been try to connect people who have, you know, they think, okay, I'm going to write a novel. I got to write a novel. I'm going to write the Great American Novel. Well, what they really are good at is writing like analysis or essays or, you know, synthesizing scientific data. And so they have to figure out that place. And I think it is what you're talking about with Ikigai, where what they're good at can serve the world, but they find it fun too. You know, you can be good at something. I mean, I was a lawyer for 10 years and I was actually very good at it. And I was completely miserable. That was not my Ikigai at all.
Interesting.
So finding that place where you're good at something, but you have the passion for it and it can serve the world. And I'm forgetting the fourth one, but I'm going to look it up. So thank you so much. I'm sorry. I'm just like, I might be fangirling. I'll just shut up now.
Yeah, thank you for that input, Nita, and I completely agree. You know, people do. You know, every single person here is a writer. Is that correct?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and you know, and the interesting thing though is that even if you write even for a couple hours every day, chances are, you know, you still identify yourself as a writer. Just like a lot of the musicians that I deal with, they still identify themselves as a musician. You still have an area of focus. You still have an outlet in order to be able to kind of do what it is that you do. But there's so many people throughout the world that don't have that passion, that don't have that outlet to be able to be themselves creatively or authentically. And I think that's what the biggest challenge, again, especially with Ikigai is for people to really get real about what it is that they really, really love to do and they're good at. Interestingly enough, there is a formula for success. And it was created by a physicist. I just can't recall his name off the top of my head. But the formula is capital S equals capital Q times R, small r. And that success formula basically means success is your Q factor, or whatever you're good at and what you love to do, multiplied by your ability to actually pull it off. So it is fascinating when you think in terms of success and being successful at Ikigai even. You have to be very honest and open about your ability to be a writer. If it's something in equations or if it's something that is more technical writing or whatever the case, if that's what you're really, really good at and what you kind of love to do, chances are your success in doing that over any length of time is going to be multiplied. Thank you for that rousing round of indifference, everybody.
Can I? Can I jump in? It's Deb.
Deb, of course.
First of all, I'm so glad I came today because, you know, I adore Sherry, Anita, and the Mango Gang. And Tim, we're like this. You don't know. So my book is, and Brenda's nodding because she knows what I'm going to say. So my book is your goal guide, and it's to get what you want. You need to know what you want. And I am so thrilled to be introduced to you and this concept because it's so important to have that, to the self-awareness that goes along with your passion. And so I just want to say, oh, this is so cool.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Deb, I love your enthusiasm. You always, thank you so much for your bright energy all the time.
My pleasure. And you know, I'm making notes. Gold Chat Live, Tim, big exclamation point.
I'm curious, how about anyone else? Is there anything that's at top of your mind from these different conversations? Rachel.
Hi, I am loving this. I really am. It just speaks right to my heart. And it's so funny, Nita, when you said fangirl, because that's how I feel like I am right now. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But it's just, you know, when it all comes, when that combination of it all comes together, it really is an amazing what happens to your life when all those elements come together, because it really, it invites the peace in, and invites the joy in, and invites the love, the abundance, all of it all together. It invites it all in openly, so it's not forced. And that's what I think in my work, I notice a lot of people try to force change before they're ready to become aware. They try to force it. But the thing is if you become open and really you know, I love this. I cannot wait to read your book, Tim, to read all about it, because I had never heard of Ikigai before. So, but because it's the natural process of getting to that inner glow, you know, that inner shine. So I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I'm excited as well that you're so excited. You know, I think the most powerful point of anything that we all do in terms of what we do in terms of writing is that we're sharing information in order to benefit others. That is the part that is probably one of the most important things about this whole thing. So the 4 tenements again are: do what you love, do what you're good at, do what helps others. That if you're not helping others by doing you, then there's no way to be able to have that exchange of energy, and there's no way for you to be rewarded. So you know, that's a big area of focus that I certainly focus on for myself and for people that I talk to. You know, what is it that you can do for others?
You know, Tim, I love what you're saying. And again, I want to go back to what I had said to you, and I could be saying to anybody who's here, you know, on this call, which is that also it isn't just the writing that conveys that, right? It's like who you are. Like, and again, this is why I can say it's because I know all of you who are here, but it's like that joy of being who you really are and doing what you love. There's an energy force that, you know, talk about boomerang, right? I feel like I get to receive it. It's why I love this community so much, you know, that it's like this force of good energy that comes just from someone being who they are and doing what they love. Nita, I've got a sense that you want to jump in. Is that so?
I wanted to jump in if I could really quick. I have a
Please,
question.
I've said enough.
Okay. So both Nita and Tim, I love both your books. So thank you so much for sharing. So I have a question, and either one can answer, but Tim, I'll maybe ask you first, because I find this too in my work. I'm a visual artist and an author, so I do a lot of photography, and that's part of my creativity for bringing in abundance. So when you wrote, you said, and I wrote it down, you said, do what you're good at and do what you love. And I find that when I ask people to create a manifesting postcard, because that's what mine's about, is creating manifesting postcards, people will say to me, well, I don't know what I want to bring into my life, right? So what do you offer, like people who say, I don't know what I'm good at, or I don't know what I don't know what I love? That would be my question.
Yeah, this is well, maybe I'll answer that question by telling you a short little story. I did a talk once with for a group of teens in grade 7 or 8 or something along those lines, and bear with me. One of the challenges with talking to teens is that there's all the whole spectrum of the jocks and the this and that and everything. Yeah. One of the kids at the very end of the session walked up to me rather coyly and said, "What if I'm not good at anything? What if I don't love anything?" And my heart broke for that young gal, and I said, "Well, there is a place you can start, and that is by going outside of yourself. And you might not feel like you're good at something or that you love something, but you can start by taking steps that are acts of kindness for other people, and just to see how that feels. and to see what happens when you just start doing little acts of kindness, just out of the goodness of your heart, not expecting any reward, but you're going to get a reward. And maybe that is a place to start. I completely agree, Melisa. There are so many people that just have no idea about, what it is that they want to manifest. Mm-hmm. In order to make those steps, I encourage people to go through a 3-step process, and that is to explore, and that is basically to take as much time as you want to explore absolutely everything that interests you. And what you're going to find out is that there are some things that are really interesting to you that you're going to go and try once, and you're going to go, okay, I did that, I check. Okay, that's in the no column. And there are other things that you're going to go and try out that might open up to other experiences that you had no idea about that really bring you a lot of joy. And so it's a yes column and a no column. Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. So by exploring, you're getting the opportunity to do all the stuff that you want to do. The next step is to zero in on the experiences that are working for you, and that you see some sort of a pattern, and ultimately what it boils down to in Ikigai terms is that you're going to start seeing an action that is going to happen over and over and over again. That could be to build, to teach, to guide, to give, to provide, to heal. They're all adjectives that and verbs, for that matter, actions that you can do on a regular basis, and all of a sudden it's going to start making sense. You might come up with your own descriptor and your own action that is going to make a lot more sense to you. That's how I came up with delight. But in order to do that, you go through the 3rd step, and the 3rd step is to ponder. And this is where you remove yourself from all your exploring and all your zeroing in, and you literally stop doing anything, and you let your subconscious take over, because your subconscious is literally 1,000,000 times more powerful than anything that your conscious mind is capable of doing. And by putting it into your subconscious, it's just like putting into a supercomputer, and it's going to help provide you the answers. And then one day you're just kind of go, oh, there's my Ikigai. So it's explore, zero in, and then ponder. That's the 3 steps that I really encourage people to do.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tim. I'll go ahead and jump in. And thanks for the question, Melisa. This is great stuff. So a lot of times when, the clients I have are mostly writers, but I have a lot of friends that talk to me for a lot of different reasons. When you're public about mental health challenges, people email you that you've never heard from, and all of a sudden you're telling them maybe you need a therapist or maybe I can help you. But one of the things that I will say, which I think is just basically an example, especially of the 3rd thing that Tim was talking about, was allowing yourself to get quiet. Mm-hmm. We are so busy. We need to be busy to survive in this world. We do. But taking that time to stop and be still. Now, sometimes you can't just do that. So I will say to somebody, find a movement form you love. For me, it happens to be running. Forget about whatever it is you're thinking about, and then go do that other thing. It's sort of like, on the airplane where they tell you, I know, does anybody remember there's these airplanes that we used to fly on? I don't know if you remember that. Anyway, so remember how they tell you your nearest exit may be behind you? Yes. That is often what happens with me. I have to let go. I mean, some people they're thinking types. They can actually grapple with that. They're the people who love puzzles, love to do math in their head, things like that. Those people are more likely, I think, to like analyze it out and come to some kind of understanding. I have to drop it. I have to distract myself and let it go, and almost go look over here, and cause it's over here. So that's sort of the example of what I use, which I think I just think what Tim's saying here is so powerful. And then And then the other thing is I ask them, I might give them a writing exercise. Tell me everything you don't want. You know, do the opposite. Tell me everything you don't want. And then, and I do this in the classes I teach, I'll give them, tell me everything you remember, just general, everything you remember. And then I'll give them some concrete topic like, tell me about your last haircut, something very, you know, kind of specific. And then I'll say, tell me everything you don't remember. So there's all these opposites. So I'll try to get them, their minds moving somehow so that they're not so stuck and narrow, and just not to forget that it may be behind them. But I love what Tim said too about experimenting. You know, back before the pandemic, we could go and shadow people. I mean, we could do all kinds of things like that. And I remember when I was working with a woman who her day job was career counseling, and we talked about that, about, you know, having people shadow other people, because you find out pretty quickly, okay, I've got this idea about this thing, but what's the reality? And so, and then the patterns too, because you may be, like for me, I was a lawyer, but I was always drawn to research and writing. And so within the first year, they figured that out. And so that's all I was doing. You know, they didn't send me to trial because that wasn't my thing. So find out that thing. What is the thing that you keep doing no matter where you're at? You know, what is it, the thing that you can't not do? And that's what has worked for me. So, yeah. And boomerangs. I'm like all about the boomerangs right now. So.
Nita, when you were, question for you, so when you were practicing law, you were sent more towards, what was the field that you were, sorry, you said that you were steered into doing more of the back room work?
The law, we represented public agencies. So they were counties, townships, you know, state agencies, public agencies. We did primarily labor negotiations and employment. And then at the very end, I did family law, which I really don't want to talk about, but yeah.
Okay. And then, so was that something that you did because that's the direction that your employer steered you? Was that because you did that because you were good at it and you enjoyed it?
Well, what happened? I mean, this is an excellent question, because I still, I'll just say that after I was out, I had a therapist say to me that my being an attorney, especially at the end where I tried to do trial work, was the worst case of poor job fit she'd seen in 20 years of psychology practice, because of my personality. But I was smart. I have the papers, you know, with the frames, and I could write and research. And so when I went to the career counselor, because Melisa, I didn't know what I wanted, and they said, oh, you should go to law school. And I thought, that sounds like a great idea. I'd love the JD behind my name. You know, I'd love that. I love the gold star. I love that. And I remember sitting in law school and thinking, these people think differently than me, you know? But it took me 13 years to get out of it. But anyway, I'm sort of making this all about me. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's the kind of thing where I just got on. You know, we like get in a rut and furnish it, and mine was a pretty cozy rut. It had really nice. I mean, we had chandeliers in the rut, and we had nice cars, and we had, you know, and so I think that part of this thing that I'm seeing now is people crashing and burning because they're in these fancy ruts. And they don't know how to get out because they like the chandeliers.
So true, so true. And there's so many people that end up in careers that they weren't necessarily, that they're not thriving in, for heart and soul, but they're paying them $350,000 a year and they can't afford to go and do anything else. They'd rather wallow in their misery than start again at step one. Do you find that?
Bingo. Anybody else? We're just like, Tim and I, actually you guys can all go. Tim and I are just going to talk for the next 6 hours here.
Yeah, there you go.
I love that
Linda's there.
Analogy, Nita. You get in a rut and furnish it, because it's so on point. And I do what I do because the people who need to get out of the rut and change their direction, that's what I help with. But that is probably the best visual I have heard for that. So gold star, Nita. Love it.
Thank you. I'm sure it's not original, but I don't know where I heard it. It's possibly from my mother. Those were the kinds of things, the little one-offs she would just come up with. And I wish you all could have met her. She was an interesting, crazy, interesting person.
Linda, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, well, first I wanted to say how wonderfully affirming this is for me, because in February, on Leap Day, I made a leap to get out of my rut. I jumped right out of my rut. And it was only supposed to be for 3 months, and I'm still doing it. And I'm trying to live my Ikigai. And it's something that's so joyful. Yeah, just this week I got my first 2 orders for 2 of the projects that I've been working on. So I'm just very excited. But I wanted to go back, Nita, thank you, to the idea of writing as a healing process. Because for me, it's always been so interesting when I'm writing that I don't see that path of healing when I start writing, especially in poetry. And then by the end of a poem, this healing has happened that I never expected. And a lot of times it feels like it's something that's just for me to start with. And then eventually, after I've worked with it a bit, I feel like it could probably help other people too. And then I share it. But it's amazing, just the process sometimes of the healing that can come through writing. So I'm really glad that there's a whole focus on that in that portion, in that chapter of your book. So thank you for that.
Brenda, did you have something to share? Did I see your hand?
Oh, I was in thinking mode, the thinker.
Oh,
I actually wanted to go back a few minutes in time and find out what happened when Tim went to Okinawa, the origin, the epicenter of Ikigai.
Oh, sure. Thanks for asking that, Brenda. So we hadn't planned on going to Okinawa while we're in Japan, but we learned that we could get a flight for a couple $100 return from the southern part of Japan to just dip down into the islands. The islands are the tiniest, most impossible place to ever come from because they're about 1,200 kilometers directly south of the main islands of Japan. But it turns out that my grandparents were born on even a tinier island that's off the coast of the main island of Okinawa. And this place is so ridiculously small. It'd be like the very, very tiny tip of Manhattan. Basically, that'd be like the entire size of the entire place. But to dig my toes into the sand of that little island and to kind of feel that connection of saying, half of my roots are from here, and it's the half of my roots that are kind of driving me towards always insisting that I want to be who I am. I just need to be who I am, regardless of whether I make $1 million a year or if I make $20,000 a year or $5,000 a year. That is the most important feeling that I got from being there. That was the energy that I got from being in Okinawa. And there's a very good chance that I may be returning to do some documentary work there, actually. But just to have that connection and to feel that DNA, I guess, touching against my toes in the sand, it was life-changing, really.
I love that. What's the name of the little tiny island?
It's called Hamahiga Island, Hamahiga. And yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous to see how small it was.
I'm really.
Can I just add?
Yeah, jump in, Linda, sure.
I just wanted to share because I had a similar experience 2 years ago. I got to go back with my daughters too to the little teeny town in Italy where my great-grandparents were both born. And we had hired a driver to get us there because there wasn't even a train that goes there and all of that. And his name, honest to God, was Luigi, and he was the best thing ever. He was so funny. But he double parked and dragged us into this building because we didn't know where to go. And he told them what we needed because we didn't speak enough Italian, and took us up to the right office and told them the names. And they went into this big closet and took out these huge ledgers that were all handwritten, and found the one that had both my grandparents in it and made copies for us. And I'm crying and they're laughing at me. And they didn't charge us a dime. And it was so beautiful to just get to do that. It was so moving. So thank you for letting me relive that, Tim.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, and I was just going to say how moving that is, right? Like how moving, actually, this whole conversation. But yeah, when Tim just said that piece about, you know, it's more important to be who I am in the world than that dollar figure at the end of whatever it is I'm doing. That just really touched me. I love that. Melisa.
Well, just to go off of what you guys were saying, you're saying you'd rather be doing what you love than the dollar amount. I find that when you start doing what you love and you're not caring about the dollar amount starts to go up. Right? Does anybody else notice that? It was once you let go of your resistance to it and you're worried about it, and you're doing and you're working and your joy, your abundance in your bank account goes up. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, it's funny, Melisa, because I often think about that old saying, you know, do what you love and the money will follow. But I think there's something about it psychologically. If we're doing what we love so that the money follows, it kind of throws the whole thing off. But what I hear you saying is something really different.
Yeah.
It's like law of attraction 101, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Live the existence and just go with it.
Right.
Will you all excuse me for just 2 minutes? My son is asking me for something, and I'm just going to go deal with that, okay?
Absolutely, Tim.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, Rachel.
Well, and I love how this conversation is going too, because it's like it does, both authors, Tim and Nita, you feed so well into each other. Speaking of dogs.
That's so great.
But because it's like a lot of what you need to do to find your Ikigai is write. So having that, you should be writing. And because it's like you have to for me at least, I had to see it on paper. You know, I couldn't just think about it in my head. When it's in my head, it stays in that hamster wheel. It has to be written out. And so I love the fact that you two are together in this one, because it's a balance of you can have all that, but you need to write to figure it all out, to see it on paper. So
sometimes, I'm sorry, Rachel, were you done?
Oh no,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt. So sometimes I, Melisa specifically is a visual artist, and I will tell the people who are so used to writing about things to go take pictures or start drawing or do some other kind of art form, sculpture, something, so that they're going at it because they're trying. You need to get underneath the conscious mind, that prefrontal cortex, the frontal cortex. I can't say it. I'm sorry. You know what I mean. This part of the brain. You have to get around that. And so sometimes doing something different than what we're used to will access that deeper part. It's like what Tim was talking about, the pondering. And so yes, I think I'm going to say, yes, it's lovely. You should all buy this book because you should be writing, and you should be writing in order to find your Ikigai. Yes, yes, yes. And maybe you want to take up sculpture and pottery and dance. And, what's that joke about, we're no longer answering customer service questions with words. We're just doing interpretive dance. So that's, maybe that's the access point for you. And so my kind of thing is that, I think I said this last week, that sometimes we're drawn to the wrong medicine. The thing that's the easiest for us, or not even the easiest, but the thing that we're used to doing, we keep going back to that. And so sometimes we have to be jarred a little bit. And that's why a lot of times, people will go different places when they're in crisis that they would never have gone. They wouldn't seek opportunities. So yeah, I just wanted to say maybe they should all take pictures and send them to Melisa, because she's got a great thing going there too.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I love everything that we've talked about, and I'm just aware of the time that we've got just a few minutes left, and I feel compelled. Brenda started something a long time ago that I just love when we have time to do it, which is that Brenda started where we just go around and sort of popcorn around and have people share a takeaway, something, maybe an intention, something that really struck you about the talk. And I realize we only have 4 minutes. We may go a couple minutes over, but if you guys are game, I would love to do that as a chance also just to get to hear from everyone who's here. You guys okay? Yeah. All right, great. Brenda, since you started us off, I would always love to invite you to start us off today.
Certainly. Well, several things have stuck in my mind, like a reminder to just really look at what I'm good at, and also bear in mind that it not be the obvious thing that I think of myself as being good at. What am I good at, maybe best at, that I'm not noticing, not giving myself credit for? So I'm going to look at that and contemplate that. And then also just looking at that might help me get out of a rut. I mean, I think especially there's pandemic ruts. I've worked, because Mango's headquarters are in Miami and I'm in the Berkeley area, I have worked at home for quite a while, but even still I got to go out to meetings like with a distributor and meetings with authors and Pete's Coffee every morning. And so, my rut area just got smaller and smaller. So, like in every possible way. So how can I expand, climb out and see what else is out there? So I intend that we all look at, sort of assess our cozy ruts in healthy ways and see what else we can do to sort of expand. And then also I intend that that things get better, because like the 2020 news is just stultifying. It used to be like one bad thing every day. Now it's like 5 bad things every day. And I don't want to become just inured to it, where it just, I don't want to go negative. So I really want us, what can we do, large and small? What can we do that's positive to help the world? So I want to put that out there, and then I will hand the baton to Rachael.
Thank you, Brenda. Well, first intention is as soon as this is over, I'm buying How to Ikigai so I can read all about that, because it's so new to me. And for me, what I've been working on is I do daily aligning with love, abundance, and peace, because that's my center, that's my touchstone, that's where everything good I can do for the world comes from. So if I can touch on that on a daily basis and help others touch on that by putting it out there, then I feel a part of the change I want to see. And so that's what I'm doing. And so my intention is to just try to get that out there more, so that more and more people can start contributing to the energy that's going to shift us. And so that's the goal. I am going to call on Tim.
Okay, so I just realized we're passing the ball around. Thank you very much, Rachael. I am just, I've picked up so many wonderful thoughts from being with you today. I love, Deborah, that you're a goal guide, and I'd like to talk to you more about that. So I'm going to see if I can reach out to you, and I'll maybe get your email or something like that in one of the messages. If you can private message me, I'd love to see that. But I'll tell you how impactful doing what you love is. And I want to thank Brenda especially and Sean Holt at Mango, because I was creating a TED Talk, and I was writing this TED Talk, and I said to my daughter on a Friday, I said, I am enjoying writing this information about Ikigai so much, I think the next step is to do a book. And she said to me, that's a great idea, Dad, write a book. And the following Monday, I got an email from Sean Holt saying, we'd like you to write a book about Ikigai. That's how the world reacts when you're doing something that is meaningful. So thank you very, very much, Brenda, and to Sean and to Christopher and everybody at Mango. It's been an absolute life changer for me to be involved with Mango and to spread this message of Ikigai around the world. So thank you. Blessings.
Tim, you get to choose who to pass the mic to. Oh, but you're muted.
Okay, I would like to hear from Shelby.
Hi, thank you, Tim. Wow, yeah, my mind is running like a million miles a second. I learned so much from this talk, and I always feel really fortunate when I get to sit in on this panel. But I would say, you know, I feel like my whole life has kind of been about the question of what do I love? What am I going to do? And being in my early 20s, that's such an intense time of self-discovery, and that's just always not even in the back of my mind. It's usually screaming in my mind, like, what do I love doing? What am I going to do? And that's very overwhelming. But now I have taken lots of notes, and I have actual concrete steps on how I can figure that out, thanks to Nita and Tim. And so I intend to actually put the time into figuring out what I love and what I can bring to the world. And that's really still overwhelming, but very exciting. And so, yeah, thank you to you both. I will pass it over to Debbie.
Thank you. And thanks, Tim and Nita, for this very stimulating conversation and powerful as well. And so my intention this week is to ponder, because I realize that I've been in a little, as Brenda called it, pandemic rut, because two of the things that I love to do that I think are part of my Ikigai are traveling and swimming. And I am unable to do both because of the pandemic. But there has to be a workaround or a solution where I can still feel passionate and like I'm doing the things I love, even if I'm not physically traveling or swimming laps. There's definitely something else I can be doing. So I'm going to take a little time to go inward, or maybe explore outward and then go inward and see where it leads me. So thank you. And I pass to Julian.
Oh, hi. Yeah, so I came in a bit late, but I really enjoyed the discussion of Ikigai, and I find it inspiring. I definitely want to order that book and check it out more closely. And yeah, especially in the pandemic, I feel like I need to make more effort to catch up on make sure everybody's doing okay. That's sort of my intention for the week, because I'm finding that some people are in crisis I didn't realize that that I could be there for. So, and that's about it. Who hasn't gone yet? Is that everybody, or is everybody?
Nita.
Oh, Nita. Okay, I'll pass it to Nita.
Thank you. Thanks, Julian. Thanks so much, Tim, and Sherry always, and of course, Brenda. You know, I call her my fairy godmother because it always feels like she just fell out of the sky and scooped me up. So I have been practicing metta, which is a Buddhist practice of loving kindness, and it is really, really softening my heart. But I'm going to kind of echo what Julian said. I have found that there are some people in crisis that I had been sort of checking on, and you know, I kind of got this feeling that maybe things weren't as great as they had said. And so I'm going to just kind of nudge a little deeper right now. because I think I have the time to do that. I have the energy to do that. And we just have never lived through anything like this before. We haven't. I'm very, privileged, grateful for what I have, but yeah. And then I also am taking action aligned with my political beliefs. I am. I tend to try to keep that a little bit separate, a little bit to myself, and I'm stepping out a little bit just because I think pretty much the world depends on it right now. So I think so. I think that is everybody. Is that?
Well, we have
Sherry. Oh wait, who
Melissa
else?
and Deb.
Linda, Melissa, and Deborah. I
Oh,
believe.
Linda. I'm sorry. I'm like
I wrote them all down. Just
Oh, okay, good. Okay, well, okay, we'll go to Linda then. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm so insulted. No joking. I'm going to pay attention to see if there are any ruts that I have furnished. So thank you, Nita, and I'm gonna throw out the furniture. Tim, you said it was just a phrase that I found really interesting that I'm gonna be looking at, time affluence. I'm gonna just be sitting with that idea, and because there's so many times when I say, oh, there's not enough time, but yet there really is, and I'm gonna feel more affluent about time. And one of the biggest things I think I'm going to do is practice more regularly celebrating the successes of living that Ikigai, that the joy of living that, instead of always keeping my head down and keeping moving towards that. I need to put my head up and celebrate the joy of living your passion. So thank you for that. And I will pass it to, who is next, Deborah?
Melissa and Deborah. Yeah, Deborah.
Deborah.
Okay. Wow, I learned so much, and I love the alignment of this. I learned what Ikigai is, and I also learned the wonderful analogy of furnishing ruts. And believe me, you're going to hear me use those phrases. And what I mentioned early when we first got on is, thanks to actually a little encouragement from Nita, I've been posting my goal of the day. And today's goal was to attend. Usually I'm busy and I can't. And I was actually very busy today, but because I made that goal, gosh darn it, I was going to be here, and I'm thrilled that I was. And now our picture will be on, I've been posting my goal today is, what's your win? So I have a wonderful experience and photo to post on the Deb Method Instagram. So I'm just glad I got to share some of my day with you all. And and passing to Melissa.
Thank you. So I just want to say that I just really appreciate actually getting the invite to be here today, because usually this time is not a good time for me because of my radio show. So it was meant to be, which I love those kind of events. And, going off of what some of you guys have said about, the pandemic and the rut, I made a conscious decision early in the pandemic to create a Facebook group that I called Postcards of Love. So every day I purposely look for beautiful images, beautiful art, inspirational stories. There's no politics. There's nothing depressing, no news, because and what it's become for me is a practice of actually looking for the good things that are out there, or the beautiful things that are out there. So that's kind of been grounding for me during this pandemic. And the other day I was called to to put out a thing for people to create postcards about what we do want our world to look like. So I got that hit really strong the other day. I was having a conversation with a good friend, and it came really strong. And then just from listening to today's conversation, it kind of just, it feels like that's something that I need to do. I like just hearing everybody talk today. So I'm really happy that I got to be here today. So thank you. And thank you all. Thank you, Nita. And thank you, Tim, very much.
Oh, I think that has everyone had a chance, I believe. Yeah. Oh goodness, thank you. I keep thinking of the word boomerang, which is also synchronous, because I have a program in my head called Boomerang, because similarly to what Tim was talking about, my world of like giving, gift giving, giving of appreciation, of love, that it is always, right? That's just what we're talking about. It's a complete boomerang. And I'm thinking, as some of you know, have been going through I have a family member who's in a deep crisis right now. And the love and the thoughtfulness and the energy and the brightness each of you have brought, I just want to say, because I feel that boomerang, right? I feel it like coming around and around, and I'm just filled with gratitude. And I think it really does speak to the importance of who we are in the world. Like Brenda was talking about, you know, we need more positive news. And I look at each of you and I'm like, positive news, positive news. I cannot say enough, like the importance of that. Please just continue being who you are in the world, and we really need it. And special thank you to Nita and to Tim for being our guest authors. You guys were great. I so appreciate that. Thank you to all of you who are here, participating, sharing. It means so much. And we're here every Wednesday. I hope we'll all come back. It's such a resting place for me. I hope it is for everyone. Thank you all. Oh, and thank you, Debbie and Brenda, of course.
Thank you, Sherry.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks so much. And I've got Tim's book up to read next. Yay.